And is being selfish ever beneficial? If so, when?
Yes. Obviously, it's a fine line, but I would say it's important to be selfish when you know you need to do that work that other people either aren't understanding of or are against. Because obviously we live in a time where there's some that get it and some that don't get it. But you kind of have to ignore all of that. I could even take that back to when I was even before I started my mental health journey. When I started my physical health journey, everybody around me. I'm from Virginia. I'm from the South, so like, oh, you could have a little piece of fried chicken, or you could have a cheese doodle. You know what I'm saying? When I'm literally in the middle of trying to, I see the end game, and I'm like, I'd lost like 70, 80 pounds at that point, and I'm like, no, and I'm being judged for that. Like, that's when you have to be selfish enough to say, no, what I'm doing is what I'm doing, and it's important to me, and that's what's most important to me. Now, when it becomes a problem, is when you're selfish for reasons that don't serve you or anybody else. That's my take on that.
Can I just back you right on up there, because I feel 100%. Of course, it goes with knowing thyself, because there are people, even people who love people. Sometimes people don't even mean to be like selfish or hurtful in a way. They're just moving off of what is good for them, and they expect you to move or think or be in that way. But sometimes you knowing yourself sometimes will tell you when you need to be selfish. Sometimes, even if it's a friend, your friend is being who they are, and they want a certain thing, or they're moving in a certain thing, or they're going to this club and they're just being a friend. They want to invite you, they want you to come, da da da. But you have to be like, no, based off of what yourself is telling you, or where you are within yourself, or what you may need. So yeah, it's paramount to be selfish sometimes. It's the word that makes it sound bad, selfish, but it's self. It's self. Sometimes you have to put you need to put yourself first. Like, I have this thing that I wrote down as me first, not to be not to be a jerk, not to be anything, but sometimes, a lot of times, me putting myself first and being selfish will allow for me to be a better helper, friend, aunt, whatever, this and the third. So yes, I feel for that reason, because people are selfish in their own way, and they are expecting you to be and to move how they want you to, it requires you to be selfish if you love yourself. That's my take.
I think it's actually like beneficial for the relationships that you have with people, because I have a friend and she always sets boundaries. Like, if I ask her to do something and she doesn't want to do it, she'll say no, I don't want to do that. And I think that's been like better for our relationship. Actually, with my other friends who don't have them boundaries, I'm struggling, because like when people have them boundaries, you feel safe, and like they feel safe, and it just feels comfortable for everyone. And I think it's really important to, like, yeah, put yourself first and say I don't want to do that. Like, and I think normal people will also respect that and will actually be thankful that you're saying that, because then they know how to navigate when they're around you. Because sometimes when there's this looseness and people don't know like where to go with you, they can make mistakes, and they're not even trying to hurt you, they're not trying to like offend you, they just don't know. But then like the minute you say, actually I don't like that, this is my goal, like, then you set your boundaries, normal people will respect that, and it will just make communication better for everyone. So yeah, I think sometimes it's important to put yourself first and say like what you like, what you don't like, and people should respect that at the end of the day.
Preach that. How's good. I like the word boundaries. Boundaries is so much better than selfish, because a lot of times people get them too confused, but that's really ultimately what it is. That was good.
Caroline, did you have a take on it?
Yeah, I think I agree with what everybody said. I think it puts you on shaky ground, and goes back to what I said earlier about Adriana's piece, making me think about chaos. And I know for myself, when I wasn't boundaried enough, And when I was being like superbly people pleasing, it's confusion, it's internal confusion, especially as an empath, actually, because you can feel what people are feeling and then you're anticipating. But bottom line is, does it fit? Again, it links into authenticity and being that highest vibration of authentic. And I'll just finish by saying that when I worked in children's services and I was going through the dark night of the soul, and I had a long period off sick for about 6 months. And when I went back to work, I said to myself, I'm not doing it the way I used to do it. And I was extremely boundaried. So I wouldn't interact with colleagues that I felt were negative. I wouldn't participate with things that I thought were negative. With the young people that I work with, I was extremely boundaried. My phone went off when I left work. My phone was only on when I was in work. They knew when they could get hold of me. And if I wasn't at work because I was now part-time instead of full-time, they would have to phone up the duty workers. And it's that thing, Victoria again talks about it a lot, putting your gas mask on first. And me building up myself and being really strong in myself made me a much better worker with the young people and a much better colleague. And what I saw by setting the boundaries with the colleagues was that the ones that were like me, it started off with me feeling quite alone. And then quite quickly, the ones that were more in alignment with me came to the forefront. And we started to be around each other more in work. So I wasn't having to deal with just little things like, for me, if I'm in a training course and someone's speaking, I don't want somebody next to me going, what are they talking about? And why are they saying that? And you know what I mean? I'm trying to concentrate, I'm trying to listen. And I actually think that's really disrespectful. And if it was me at the front doing that, that's off-putting for the person presenting. So don't do that, And so those people that used to do that with me, stop doing it. And instead, I'm sitting next to the people in the meeting that are going to be quiet and listen like me, So it is really amazing how the universe moves when you move. When you set your boundaries and you become clear and you're firm in yourself, it becomes a more solid foundation instead of internal and external chaos.
Yes, indeed. This question came from the time that I studied more science, and it was something that was brought up about being selfish because, like, was it Cynthonia said sometimes the word selfish gets a bad rep. But if you look at ish, behind the self, ish is to be like self, right? There's another term called healthy selfishness. I'll end with this. And it's about prioritizing your own well-being and needs while still respecting and considering the needs of others. It's about self-care, setting boundaries, and recognizing your own value, which ultimately allows you to be more present and effective with others.
Yeah, like you say, that term, it's a word. There's a lot of these words that are thrown out there and they've been reversed. So we see that it's been put onto us that it's negative. Selfish is negative. But like you say, I love what you just said there about the science of the word. That helps me with clarity, absolutely. Because when I saw your question, actually, I thought it's the word that's triggering, not the behavior.
Yes,
Yeah, you just put me on. That can change the perspective. Just knowing that one little piece, I never knew that about ish. Wow, that changes a lot. Like in the word, how did it even get a bad connotation? But whatever.
Right.
That's dope. That's so. That's such a good thing to know. Cool. Thanks. Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Make it easier to be selfish.
You're welcome. So we're going to go on to the next question.